Today I'm going to be talking about um, something we call a shift. And we would say that there's barriers, there's buffers, whether it separates us or protects us or cushions us or divides us, there's something in the in between, and it requires focus to shift to that direct contact. And that shift is really about a life's work. To focus, to relate through time to the self, is to work in life, is to becoming from potential to actual. I could, I am, I will. So I could have the ability to. I am, I'm doing it. Or I will, not only do I have the ability, but I will use it. So these different ways of moving through time or relating through time and taking the time, making the time. And I have a practice to do together with whoever might be watching. But first I'll talk, there's this teacher called Sean Sheshan Heshmatpour, and he is a teacher about work. He teaches about livelihood, about jobs, entrepreneurs, and about the barriers between doing what we actually want. And so I brought this into the life work, the livelihood. Doesn't mean exactly a job you get paid by or entrepreneur kind of, pathway, but a guidance for life work. So first of all, he says, accept the truth. No physical, and I've paraphrased quite a bit, but these are his formula. Accept the truth. No physical thing or place or role is a safety source or totally reliable. What if the banks close down? What if you lose your pension or social security? What if you lose your job? What if your bills go up? What if something happens to your house? And so on. There's no physical thing or place. What if the dividends aren't what you thought? To avoid a false sense of security. And this is because feeling steady, feeling stable, feeling free is what we try to buy, try to work for. It comes from our ethics and commitment to what matters. By committing to do the right thing and by having a source of the self that is a conscience, saying I must do the right thing or else I won't feel good, I don't want to be lazy or inauthentic or superficial. That's what leads to stability, freedom, or steadiness. It doesn't come from having a lot of money. So it's a false sense of security to think I'll be stable because I'll have stable money, or I'll be free because I have financial freedom, or I'll be steady because I have steady income. So those are not true. Number 3, utilize what if. Utilize it. It's like, how do we elevate our worries? So we go from these worries, which are obsessing about stuff, and we move it to creativity and hope. What do I really want? Is there a way I could get to it? In the same way in a job, you have to problem solve and brainstorm, and it's not as personal. I'm saying it could be personal. It could be that you have to figure out who you really want to be. Even if everyone in the whole world will convince you to stay doing what you're doing, maybe you're a doctor. And you'll have to figure out how do you want to bring the energy of what you're trying to serve into a life experience where the worry goes away because you're doing what you're meant to. And you're being creative and hopeful. And you're not just stuck in the dead end. Number 4, change the relationship to the resource. See it as the means to an end. How many layers? See it on the way of the means. See it on the spectrum. In other words, how many layers to the actual need, from the actual need to the source, is the currency paying out? So I want to feel grounded. So from grounded to standing on the ground, how many steps? From grounded to having a savings account with 6 months rent and food inside of it. How many steps? How many layers from feeling grounded am I from what I need, for example? So if the resource is money, how many layers am I to the money? Now, from the money, what is the money bringing in? Is the resource security? How many layers am I from security once I have the money? Will I have to continue earning money? Will I have to continue having people be very proud of me so that I keep my job and get invited to events and network with others in my field and receive respect from my colleagues. How many things I have to do for it to get to the next layer, right? So it's a spectrum of, it's a means to an end. In other words, do you want to end somewhere or do you want to keep going with it? And there could be any currency. The currency means flow. So it's like shelter flow, like you move from one place to another, rebuild a house, get a new roommate. Like these are flowing resources. Food, you might be able to go to a food pantry, but then at another time you're getting food stamps. Another time you're going out to eat every meal. And at another time, you are able to like buy groceries and cook for yourself at home. So money is like, if you really want to get nourishing, now I'm going to go into this concept. If you want to be nourished, the food itself is not nourishing you. It's the nourishment you get from the food. So if you need to be nourished, you might look at this as from eating the food to feeling nourished is that one layer. So you just go from one to the other. What about building? So a shelter is like, I talked about home here. You'd be building a safe, comfortable home. That would be a building process. It's not actually the shelter itself that brings you anything. It's the process of building. And this is the relationship. This is like, I'm building my home. I'm maintaining my home. And I didn't mention money, so you could say money is for traveling, for commuting from one place to the other, from being able to go to the doctor. So it's accessing wellness. It's like, what does the money buy? What is it that I want? And this is the ground information. The ground that we stand on is I'm always going to find a way. If I'm in a relationship, I'll always find a way to meet the need. If I get attached to the resource and think that's the means to the end, and that there's nothing else I need except money, not that the money is helping me, not that to travel or to get benefits, instead of making the resource be, that which it is a pathway to, we may kind of think it is that. Like, if I have money, I'll be happy. It's not true. If I have money, I'll be able to buy clothes and go out and meet people and then do this and then have a feeling like I belong to a community. So we really got to think these things through. Number 5, don't serve other people's opinions or beliefs because it will become your reality. Your belief will become your reality. If you're feeding into yourself other people's beliefs, it's not personal. It's not personal. That's what they think today. They might think something different tomorrow. They may be a gossiper or a complainer. It might have nothing to do with you. So if you take on their beliefs, it'll become your reality, and it may not even be their reality. It literally may not even be their reality, and you made it their reality, and now yours. Number 6, don't trust anything but the self. In other words, trust the self. Your smartest gamble is to trust yourself, that you'll figure it out, that you're going to find a way. And in my class yesterday, it's called Living Deeply. We explored 3 concepts to do with the biblical paradigm of the self as soul spirit. And so God told Moses, take off your shoes, it's a holy place. And what we get from that is this actualization of protection and safety. It is, you'll actually be protected. We wear shoes to protect ourselves. We also wear shoes to keep the dirt not from touching our feet, right? So it's like physical little injuries, dirtiness, infection. And it's like, leave the outside world away from here. Remove the barrier. This is a kind of circumcision of the heart, of the spirit. Take away those things that you think are protecting you. You can't do that here. You have to be vulnerable and naked here. This is the step 1 to the process of healing. And the reason I brought up about feet is because it's Malchut, which is what we walk on, is also what we create with our words. We have creative speech. And in Judaism, Kabbalistically, we say that words are of the body, and the meaning of the words is the soul. So you could see the words, you could see the body, but you don't know the meaning they carry, because they do create energy that is now going to be working with all different nullifications. If there's too much negative spoken, and then you're creating positive, then they could balance each other out. But if you're not speaking enough positive, your negative energy could be causing you, through your own speech, to feel disempowered and so on. So we walk on what we manifest and what we speak into existence. That's what we're walking on. So we don't need shoes if what we're walking on is clean and pure, right? So, You don't want to get your foot in your mouth, that idea. And then it's like, what is Sinai? We were camping at Sinai, right? So this is the ability to meet anyone in the place where we all return to. Like, there's enough space for all. There's enough space for all there, so that means that you don't have to be a specific person for me to meet you there. You don't have to be wearing shoes, and I don't have to be wearing shoes. We both can take off our shoes and stand under one. We can understand each other, which is to stand under the other. So I could be your shoes and you could be my shoes. We don't need to wear shoes for each other, not to get hurt or dirty. We don't need to bring the outside world into this. We don't need to bring all the other beliefs and realities into our connection. And this is how we complete the bridge to being myself. Like, I am the bridge. I am getting to the place of me that's on the other side. I'm not grasping for anyone for a piece of me. I'm leaving parts of me behind as I go through on this bridge. And if I fall, the landing place is also me. So this is really becoming godly in the sense of being by myself is being able to create new things for myself. But who is myself if I'm so busy trying to grasp at, do you have me? Do you have a piece of me? Right? And so I won't be able to be someone people can take their shoes off around, and also won't be a space for people to return to. Right? That's what Sinai is. And then how do we access Sinai weekly is Shabbat, Shabbos, which is cultivating respect. We talked about, in my class, we talked about, just a few little bits of this, and people went and shared different things, but this is what I'm sharing, and it's a chance to submit beyond my own personal pleasure and logic. When do I get to do that? When do I get to learn respect for an other, for that which is above me, the one that has a domination over me? Can I accept there's one who has domination over me? And am I really chosen for choosing? If I choose to serve the one who has domination over me, is that one choosing me? Can I develop a faith through Shabbos, through 25 hours of pure awareness of trusting that everything's going to be provided through me, from past me, but also current me? That does God really care about my sacrifices of my own pleasure and my will and my logic? And can I trust that I'm being told exactly what is required of me, that I just need to do what I'm told actually here, and I don't need to make the decisions? During the 25 hours or so, I could live deeply into the fact that I'm being taken care of. And that brings us into the idea of time. So we take 25 hours out of our time, and some people can't even take 2 minutes for something that doesn't seem important, and yet can watch hours and hours of binge watching TV, which could take your mind off things, but you're not necessarily making time for yourself. So Alberto Villoldo is like a time shaman. He talks a lot about time, and he says in the broad time, in the time of the centuries that we're part of, in the broad time of millennia, the broad time of evolution, if we want to use it like that, but not quite, we'd say we came from Homo sapien, right? So Homo sapien and just think about this. Homo sapien is a human knower, right? Homo sapien, human knower. To Homo luminous, Homo lumens, to being of light, right? To a light human. And a lot of people say it's era of awakening, it's the transition, it's the global consciousness, the global consciousness shift. And so he says that there's like a luminous being energy, and it's for danger or opportunity, because the light becomes information. In other words, the information becomes forms and then becomes completed in its form. And I've talked about this in previous videos, but it's like we have to prepare for inevitable change, for danger, opportunity. How do we prepare if we don't have something in the future coming to tap us on the shoulder kind of and say, this is what's coming? And time we understand as this rivers, many rivers all go into the sea. The moments, the hours, the weeks, the years, they all fly into one big lifetime, right? And there's the undercurrents that bring it back. Undercurrents can bring us back, though. They bring us back to the beginning, like to where we came from. They bring us back to our origination. And then, obviously, I spoke about this big time, this lifetime, where humans in general are coming from knowers to being light. When you know something, you're separate from the light. You're learning the light. When you are it, you're not separate. So we're becoming light beings, luminous beings. And then there's another aspect here, which is sacred time. This is the wheel of time. As I said, it brings us back. We come back to where we started. The future meets us in the past, and so on. Versus most of us are more aware of talking about clocks, which were invented not too long ago. But this is like linear time, which is an arrow going straight. And how would we say, synchronicity? And that, how would we say a synchronicity when time feels like it bends, like described that, the future kind of like taps us on the shoulder? What does that really mean? And what does it mean to like do yoga and feel like you're not aging anymore? And what does it mean to like have this idea of developing a body that doesn't get sick because you do, qigong? And what does it mean to have a body that is outside of time? Because time itself